Hello everyone and welcome to Don't Be Bored. Today I'm here to review for you Quicksand, the real-time cooperative challenge. In this game you are battling against sand timers and trying to flip them down this track as quick as possible. A lot of real-time goodness that is very, very fast-paced and chaotic. Let's jump into how the game plays so you get a little sort of vibe for it, and then I'll give you some pros and cons. And just so you know, Horrible Guild did give me this as a review copy. The way the game works is you're trying to move these sand timers down the track without losing any of them, getting them into the sort of final danger zone and definitely not losing any of them when they're there. You're trying to do this sort of diffusion and you're really working against this quicksand. Now there's 5 timers in the box. There's 2 slow ones, 2 medium ones and a fast one, and obviously towards the sort of start of the experience as you're doing the lower levels, well, not only are you going to be using maybe 2 slow and the medium, by the end, yes, you'll be not only using the fast one as well as maybe the mediums. There'll also be some other things, like maybe you have to be in silence, or these blocker chips that get added to tiles just to disrupt things. But how does it normally work? Well, on your turn, you'll have 3 cards in your hand, you'll play one of them and activate all of the sand timers that are on that thing. Now, the way these work is, every position on this track you've made up out of tiles is a colour and a shape. So let's say it's an orange circle or a grey moon. Now, if you play a grey card, anything that's on any of the grey coloured tiles, regardless of shape, are going to move. And let's say you played the triangle, well, if there's nothing on a triangle, nothing moves. Now you do this in a very particular way. The sand timer that's furthest down the track moves first. So it can mean, oh, this sand timer would normally just flip over because it can't move on to its next space, but actually that one will be one moving first, so maybe it clears the path. And then that one can flip as well. Now there's times where you don't care if it's moving, you just need it to flip. So let's say there is a sand timer, or maybe even one of those block tokens that I mentioned earlier, sat on a tile in front, but you need to play that yellow card because you need that sand timer to flip. Because if a sand timer ever runs out of sand, it's removed from the track. It's flipped over again and it becomes a lost sand timer. The only way to get one of those back onto the track is by playing a wild card. Now there's like 6 of these things in the deck, so they're fairly infrequent. They're also super powerful. Yes, you can use it just to move flip over any one sand timer, maybe moving it to the space in front if it is free. But that is also the only way you can get it to a sand timer to flip back onto the track. And if a lost sand timer ever runs out, that game is over. Now, you also, when you get them towards the end of the track, where you're trying to get them past this diffuse line, you're trying to get all the sand timers there, if one of those runs out, it doesn't get lost, the game is also over. So you really do have to be sort of playing these cards at the right time. So on my turn, I play the orange one and I flip all the ones that are on orange. I then redraw back up to 3 and it's the player on my left's turn, and you keep going around the table until you've either won or lost. You win by getting all of the sand timers, still flowing sand timers, into the end zone, past the marker that you're going to put in setup. As I alluded to, the levels do definitely get harder. Maybe in one you remove all the yellow cards or all the triangles, or you get these blocked tokens sat on a card, which means the first time you're supposed to flip to it, you don't. You just remove that token and it just flips on its spot. All these sort of things are there just to make things more challenging, different speeds, different order of the sand timers. Sometimes the fast sand timer being at the back rather than at the front of the queue makes it harder, or maybe you're just flipping it more often just on its spot rather than moving it down. And different things like that just vary up the different levels. You can, and I have, also play Quicksand solo. There are some slight rules changes. Obviously, if you're having to be silent, it doesn't impact you too much when it comes to the later levels. But the big change is that on sort of your turn, you draw 3 cards and you must play all 3 of those in any order you wish before drawing a full hand of 3 cards back again. Otherwise, it plays very much the same. It's just you don't have necessarily other people around the table, and you've got to play your full hand rather than just 1 card from your hand and redraw, with the next player taking their turn. So that is roughly how you play. Now let's jump into some pros and cons, and we'll start off with one that is a pro and a bit of a con. In terms of the readability of the game is fantastic. You can, from the other side of the table, really easily see that is an orange tile, that is a grey tile, that is a yellow tile. So if I'm playing one of those colours, that is going to be flipping. Same with the shapes they've chosen. You can really easily determine that is a triangle, that is a circle, that is a crescent moon shape. That sort of is super easily, you glance, you know if you play this card what will be flipping, and if it will flip or if it will just sort of actually move along the track, flip and move rather than just flip on the spot because something's on the space in front of it. You know that straight away from looking, and I think from a readability and playability, that's fantastic. The slight con of that is that while the colours are quite, nice and obvious, and with the sand timers, it's quite a cool game to look at on the table, there's not really a theme going on there that could maybe add to the experience. You could definitely have had maybe different coloured sand timers in this for the different speeds, maybe the slow ones being a different colour from the mediums and from the fast. They're not. It's all one look. It makes it super easy to glance at the board and know what's going on, how to play. You can pick it up because of that sort of intuitive look straight away. They could have maybe done just a little something to add some theme, add some fun in there though. Maybe that would have taken away from the readability though. So a pro for play, maybe a con in terms of it could have just done something a little more fun. How would I recommend playing this game? Would I recommend it with others or as a solo game? Now, if you're playing with others, you do get that real rush and that pressure more than in the solo game, I found. When you're playing with others and you're having to try and communicate, or maybe you're silent, you can't communicate properly in that round, like you're really sort of panicking a little bit and you don't want to let like the team down. And at times that makes you muck up. You play a card quickly where it would have actually been better if you'd have waited a bit of time, let those sand timers tick down a little bit. But you've played your card, now you need to flip those sand timers. Now they're running out because we just flipped it. It had a little bit of sand left. You flipped it. Oh, it should be good if we wait, let some sand drip through, but you didn't want to let anyone down, and you've actually made it worse for everyone by playing quickly. And that's a cool choice in these sand timer style games, and Quicksand is definitely one where actually sometimes playing fast is detrimental. Sometimes you want to take a breather. Okay, right. Let's have a look. What card can I play? Let's let some of that sand tick down a little bit so they're a bit more 50-50 rather than if I flip it over, we need to get that one flipped ASAP. I like that sort of fast, frantic nature that you get with some of these sand timer games, but also there is that real, sometimes a don't want to be fast. You need to stop. And that can trip people up, and I like that in a multiplayer game. When it's solo, it feels a little bit more like, not necessarily a puzzle that you're trying to do, but you don't have that sort of that sort of, not panic factor, but that sort of fear of, I need to do something quickly on my turn, because you're there, you've got these 3 cards, you have to play those 3 cards in an order. So you're like, okay, well, none of them are on grey, so if I play that now, nothing happens. But maybe if I play this triangle, something will flip onto grey, allowing me to play that. And I thought that felt quite cool. I was almost sort of surprised that in the normal game, you are only playing 1 card and then it's on to the next player, rather than you playing your whole hand, then the next player playing their whole hand. I think that's probably just to keep the game going around the table and everyone involved all the time. I don't know, I almost lean towards, I had more enjoyment playing it as a solo game where actually I could work out, oh, all right, let's wait for the sand, let a little bit of that drip through. Now I'll flip that one. Now they're both on orange, so I'll play the orange and flip those. I don't know, I just preferred it like that, but you can definitely get the right group for this. They're going to love the sort of frantic sprees of playing cards quick to stop those sand timers running out, and those occasional breathers of, okay, slow down, we don't need to rush, let's plan a little bit of what we're going to do. As I alluded to earlier, the game's super intuitive. You very quickly know just from a glance how the game's really going to work. Yeah, it throws in some spanners into the works with some block tokens, but by the time you get to those levels, you'll have done 4 or 5 levels at least, so everything else will just be a breeze. And it means you can teach people really quickly by putting the game in front of them and showing them what some of the cards look like. The only thing that isn't necessarily super intuitive is the lost stuff. So when something's run out, it flips off the track next to where it sort of ran out of time, and you need to get one of those wild cards. Maybe the wild cards could have said like wild / like recover or something like that. But I also find that's a really obvious way of drawing everyone's attention to one thing. That if that one runs out, that lost one runs out, we have lost the game. It just makes it really important, and it's a nice clean way of sort of ending a round and being like, you've lost. You're going to want to shuffle those cards back up, reset everything, and go again though. And I think that's where I fall on Quicksand. You play once, you're gonna want to play again, especially if you lose, because sometimes you can be agonisingly close to getting like that 3rd or 4th sand timer, whatever, into the complete end zone. You're like 2 steps away if you could just draw the right shape. I'm not getting any triangles. I played loads of them earlier on and they did nothing. And it's just run out and you're like, oh, we're so close. We can do this. We can do this. So you reset, you put everything over, basically move the sand timers back to the start, shuffle the cards back up, deal them out, and go again. Because you want to. It just fills you with that right sort of buzz. It has that cool balance of frantic times where you need to play a card quick because that sand timer's run out, and other times where you're like, okay, let's plan a little bit because we need to wait for some sand, and almost you don't want to be quick. It's a cool balance throughout the game that's not consistent in any way, in a good way. Like, there are games where it's frantic, and other games where you get a little bit of a lull and you can plan. Then it's frantic, then a lull, then frantic. And if that's the sort of game that you're looking for, I think Quicksand would certainly be an enjoyable game to hit your table. So hopefully that's helped you know if Quicksand is a game for you or not. Let me know in the comment section below if you've given it a go, because it's been out for a little bit of time and also been available to demo at some conventions. So let me know if you have played it. And well, until next time, check out other news, reviews and all that sort of good jazz on Don't Be Bored, subscribe and have a Quicksand-filled good day.